All right, let's talk about the second round selection, who apparently the Jets even considered trading up again to get a first round pick, getting him then. So they really liked Breece Hall. Let's talk about what Breece Hall can do and what he can do effectively and what maybe he needs to work on. So, really just evaluating his preseason performance as a whole. The stats aren't great, but I think he was fine. Like, even his advanced stats weren't great, but again, in a small sample size, no matter what the stat is, no matter how good it is, you do still, I think, have to rely on tape more so than any of that stuff for a small sample size. I think numbers come into play when you have a bigger sample size, certainly, but for now, we have the small sample size, but let's talk about how he did, and let's use the tape. And we're actually going to start off with it's a play action play. So he's going to kind of sell as though he's running in that direction, but he is not. Look at how, when this play begins, right away, and I'm actually not even entirely sure if he was supposed to take the fake handoff to the left or to the right, now that I just look at it, but it doesn't matter. He sees that there's a player off the edge who's getting through untouched, and he has to make sure that he gets in his way or his quarterback is going to get hit here. But watch how he's able to do that. Like, listen, is this an incredible block? No. Did he get a little bit too close to a hold? Potentially. I can't really see it from this angle, but he got in the way, and that's what you want to see, is you want to see someone who sort of realizes he knew the situation. He read that play and said, okay, you know what? I don't really care too much about selling to play action here. I got to make sure I get this block because nothing's going to matter if we don't get this block and get in his way to some degree. They picked up a first down on that play. I mean, that's a definitive, this is how one play can make a big difference for a running back, which is why I care so much about blocking. If a running back turned a loss of 5 into a gain of 15, that would be on highlight reels all over the place. But since it's because of a block instead of a rush, people don't pay it the same amount of attention, but it had the same amount of value. I thought he did stuff like this well, where what's going to happen is it's going to be a rush to the offense's left, so you have the right guard pulling around to block someone. That's where you're going to go. Look at how, when Hall takes the snap, you see right here, there is a running lane for him to get through, right? You can see how it can develop. It's not wide open, and it probably will sort of close right when he gets there, so that's just how that's going to work. But it's also worth mentioning the situation. Situation calls for different things. This is a 3rd down and 3. So Breece Hall should not be patient trying to wait for this to open up so that way he can potentially get as many yards as possible. He has to make sure he gets the 3 yards. That's what matters here. And he puts his head down and is able to pick up those 3 yards. So, a little bit more as well. Very good play, I think, from Breece Hall, understanding the situation, not afraid to go through, a running lane and take a hit. Good stuff from Breece Hall, but I should mention, it's not like he only does this by running through just the running lane that's available. There's this play, which at this point doesn't matter too much. Watch what happens once it begins. This play begins, you see Breece Hall take the handoff, and he could keep running up the middle, but, what's over there? Not that much. So I think he's going to be aware here. Watch him bounce to the outside since there was no containment, and he's even able to make a move in open space and pick up a first down. To me, that's a great play by Breece Hall, and this stuff will absolutely work against starters, against backups, whatever you want. It'll work at the NFL level, and this is why he was drafted when he was drafted, because these are the value plays that he can bring that a running back off the streets just typically does not, is the fact that he can add those kind of other plays. Play like this was interesting. So again, it's going to be a rush to the offense's left, and watch what happens. So again, quarterback takes a snap, gives the ball to Breece Hall, who, there appears to be a running lane through. It's going to be weird, though, where, watch what happens. While he tries to get through there, he kind of bounces off, but still doesn't go down, and is able to run over and pick up a couple more yards. So, good job by him of not going down on first contact, even if it was kind of a weird play. Hey, picking up as many yards as possible, again, that's a skill. That's something that you want to see a guy be able to do, and I do think that he is someone who is successful at doing that stuff. I think that when we saw him in the preseason, he definitely added more yards than, I think that the average running back would. But now let's go over to this play, because I'm sure some people are saying he added more yards than the average running back would. Look at his stat totals. In the Eagles game, he had 5 carries and just had 15 yards. That's not a great yards per carry whatsoever. In the Falcons game, he had 4 carries for just 1 yard. So, you're almost better off just throwing the ball into the ground. That's not ideal either. And then in the Giants game, he had 5 carries for 13 yards. So in none of these games, he's getting over 3 yards per carry. But my point is that Yes, he's not, but that's not because of him. The running back only controls so much, and it's not fair to put it all on the running back. Watch how when this play begins, I mean, what was he supposed to do there? Like, no running back is gaining any yards on that play. I don't care if it's prime Marshawn Lynch. I don't care if it's prime, Barry Sanders. It's not happening. You're not going to be able to pick up that many yards on that play. And I think that's where a lot of his stats and his negative stats came from, in my opinion, where plays where there was just nothing he was going to be able to do. So how do I feel about Breece Hall as a player in general? Well, as a player, again, I really liked him coming out of college. I believe I had him as my second favorite running back. I actually had Dameon Pierce, running back one. But there's definitely stuff that I liked about Breece Hall, and so I was not mad at all with, him. And I didn't love the draft selection, though. It's one of those weird, like, I like the player, I just don't like drafting a running back in round 2, typically, maybe ever, but especially not when it's, I guess if it's a great running back, maybe, but especially not when your team like the Jets, that I just think I think they're better than people realize, actually. I do think that they'll finish above 500 this year. I just don't know if they're a contender just yet, so didn't love that, but at the same time, like, there is a lot to like about Breece Hall. The numbers, don't worry about the numbers. Again, I'm not saying you should never worry about numbers. Numbers can be a great tool to use, but that's how you should view it. It's a great tool to use, just like film is a great tool to use. You should use it all together. And I feel like typically when people say that, they use it just to dismiss numbers. Like, no, if you follow this channel, I'm a big numbers guy. I think numbers, if you look at the right statistics, which not enough people do, and understand how to apply those statistics, you can definitely find some interesting stuff. But for a running back, which is so dependent on the situation around them, statistics are very tough, and you do kind of have to, tape is king in every position, but especially with running backs. So that's kind of how I view that stuff. But anyways, back to sort of the preseason performance as a whole with Breece Hall. Again, I thought he showed some flashes and showed some nice things, and that's all you're hoping for, right? Preseason, go in, don't embarrass yourself. Check, he didn't embarrass himself. And then, show me some flashes. Show me why some people were very high on you, why you were some people's running back one, and why the Jets even considered trading up into the first round. At least that's the report. I don't know if it's true, but, that's reportedly they tried to trade up into the first round to get Breece Hall. They liked him that much. So, listen, I think that he's going to be good. I definitely think he's going to be good. It's a preseason breakdown. Didn't learn so much, but that's okay. Sometimes that's fine. As long as you don't learn negatives, maybe that's sometimes the goal, and you certainly didn't learn any negatives. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.